In this video, we are going to become familiar with the GeoSnap system by doing an indoor test and then an outdoor test. The purpose of these tests is to learn how the system works before installing it on your aircraft. The GeoSnap I have here is right out of the box and is a GeoSnap PPK pre-installed on the M600 Pro mount kit, but these same tests can be done with the GeoSnap Basic as well. First, we will do an indoor test where there aren't any GNSS signals. Make sure the micro SD card is inserted, and then plug in the test plug, which is going to act like our camera in these tests. Go ahead and power the unit on. As you can see, the system is beeping and flashing the blue and white LEDs, giving us a notification that it has detected an unreviewed config file. This reminds us that we should open our config file and review our settings. We will do this once our indoor test is complete. Next, we can see the system booting up as indicated by the sequencing LEDs. The GNSS LED is now showing one single blink, which means the system is searching for a GNSS signal. Even so, let's go ahead and send a trigger command by pressing the control button. The trigger LED lit up, and then almost instantaneously, the event LED lit up. This means the GeoSnap PPK sent a trigger command and then detected that an image was captured. Alright, let's safely end the session by pressing and holding the session button until the LEDs shine solid. Now you can pop out the SD card and go over to a computer. After inserting the GeoSnap PPK's micro SD card into the computer, we can see the results of our indoor test. If I open the session folder, we can see the files that have been generated. I'm going to double-click the events file. We can see that the events were recorded, but don't have valid time or position data since this was an indoor test. So next, we'll do an outdoor test to see how the system behaves when it has a clear view of the sky. But first, let's modify our configuration file. I'm going to select time triggering at an interval of 1.5 seconds. I'm going to use the control button to start and stop triggering, and I'm not going to worry about offsets since this is just a test. Lastly, I'll select that I've reviewed the settings so the GeoSnap doesn't beep and give that notification when I first start it up. To save these settings, I'm going to right-click, select Save As, navigate to the root directory of the microSD card, and save the file as web page complete. I'll overwrite the old config file, and now it's ready to go. Alright, we've got the unit outside, it's still powered on, and I just inserted the SD card. I will now press the session button to start a new session. If the antenna has a clear view of the sky, you'll see the green GNSS LED start to blink twice. This means we are tracking at least one satellite, so if we wait a little longer, we'll have a 3D fix indicated by the green GNSS LED blinking 3 times. Alright, the green GNSS LED is now blinking 3 times. And the white LED is also regularly blinking, indicating that raw GNSS data is being logged in the .bin file. Once the estimated accuracy of the system is less than 3 meters, the GNSS LED will advance to shining solid green. This means you can now start your mission. I'm now going to press and hold the control button until I hear a beep. Since I set my config file to start time triggering using the control button, the GeoSnap PPK has started triggering at the specified time interval, every 1.5 seconds in this case. I'm now going to press and hold the control button to stop triggering. Then, I will safely end the session by pressing and holding the session button, and then unplug the battery. Looking at the data from our outdoor test, we can see the folder has been named according to the UTC date and time that it was created. If we open that events file, we can see that there is valid GNSS and time data for all events. Looking at the other files that were created, we can see there is a .bin file that contains raw GNSS data used to create corrected geotags using PPK software. This process is covered in a separate video that is linked in the description. We have a config file snapshot that shows what settings were used for this session. And lastly, we have the geotags tool, which allows you to associate the uncorrected geotags with the images captured in your mission. There's a link in the description for another video on how to use the geotags tool. So there we have it. That's how to perform an indoor and outdoor test with the GeoSnap PPK to understand fundamentally how the system operates before your first aerial mapping mission. Be sure to check out the manual and the integration guides for full details on the system. Happy geotagging!